Now listen, Furina's gonna be great, and I can't tell you kind of where I got these details from, but we're gonna say that it came to me in a dream. And since it's a dream, I can't show you cool footage of Furina because I'd probably lose the channel from a copyright claim if that happened right now. And there won't be any cool edits, except that one. So let's talk about Furina. Furina is going to be in my dream. She was an off-field hydro applicator from her elemental skill. She can also utilize her elemental skill not only to do damage based off her own max HP. She's going to summon some nice little wandering water, we'll call them troop members, that can do scaling damage. It's going to be based off her max health, but you can also swap them and allow her to instead do off-field hydro damage and hydro application based off her own max HP. She can heal your team as well. She's also going to be able to swap between both Numa as well as Oisa. That's where she has both of them, and she's gonna be able to do this with her charged attack. Her elemental burst is going to basically be insane. It's gonna have like a 70 energy cost with an 18-second duration, but also an 18-second cooldown as well. I know this dream makes her sound kind of crazy. It has 100% uptime, but what does it do? Well, it's just going to further increase either the damage or the healing of your elemental skill. She's going to start in Oisa form, which is going to be the damage form for her elemental skill. When you summon the puppets, you can change your stance beforehand, or you can even change your stance after you summon them, so you're freely able to always just make them either do damage or healing, whatever it is that you wish to do with this character. And not only does that elemental burst buff up the elemental skill, it also is going to do a pretty large amount of damage based off her own max health, somewhere around like 30% of Furina's health. So those are the base. Let's delve into the skill a little bit more. In my dream, that will say you are going to summon 3 different sort of NPC water elemental troop performers. Now they're all going to do the same sort of thing as far as doing damage in your damage dealing Oisa form, but what they're going to do is take turns attacking. Each of them is going to do a slightly greater amount of damage than the previous one. On top of that, they're also going to be able to slowly drain the HP of your active party member to increase the damage that they can do. And not only are they going to drain the active party member's HP, but every different party member you have the puppet member troop drain HP from is going to increase their overall damage by up to 4 different stacks. So 4 different party members, each getting their HP drained a little bit, is going to give you the maximum amount of damage. You're going to be able to set this up, swap between all your different party members, and have a max stacked sort of, think of it like Oz, but multiple Oz's that take turns attacking for hydro damage based off of Furina's health. And while her damage dealing form is going to be draining the HP of everybody, you can also just use a charge attack to swap to the Numa form and also make these party members, well, heal all of your actual party members. The troop's going to start healing instead of draining HP and doing damage, and you're freely able to swap them from damage dealing to healing form with just a simple charge attack from Furina being your active character. And I know the dire question, in my dream, what was the cooldown of this skill? Well, it's a 30-second cooldown, but it has a 20-second duration. So you have a pretty substantial amount of time to play around with this elemental skill. And for a little bit more detail of how the burst worked in my dream, well, the burst I said before is going to just buff up your elemental skill, and that's going to be true for both the damage dealing as well as the healing form. And so when you activate your elemental burst, you're going to start getting stacks of this thing called Fanfare after you do the initial lump sum damage upon elemental burst activation. You're going to be getting Fanfare stacks every single time a party member's HP either decreases or increases, and every stack of Fanfare is going to increase the damage or the healing that your elemental skill is going to do. This is very useful as well. You gain Fanfare stacks from anyone's HP increasing or decreasing, and while your elemental skills in damage form draining health from your party members, or in healing form restoring health to them. So it's very easy to get these Fanfare stacks to get increased damage as well as healing from that elemental skill. And it does have an 18-second cooldown with an 18-second duration, meaning that you're going to be able to line this up quite easily with that 20-second duration elemental skill. And as far as her normal and charge attack combos, there's nothing super substantial about them at Constellation 0. Outside of, remember, you're going to be able to swap between both Oisa and well as Numa forms with a charged attack. At Constellation 2, this will change though, and it's the only constellation I'm going to talk about but we're not quite there because, well, we still have to talk about 2 Ascension passives. Her first Ascension passive's going to be pretty easy to utilize in some teams. It's sort of automatic. So anytime anyone else in your party heals your party outside of Furina herself, this will trigger Furina to heal your entire party for an additional amount. So if say you have something like Xingqiu's sword in your party, someone gets hit, the rain sword heals them for a small amount. That's healing that Furina isn't doing. Furina will see that and then heal the whole party additionally. Something like Kuki Shinobu's elemental skill would proc healing. That's someone healing your party that isn't Furina, which will allow Furina to heal your whole party. This is a pretty powerful Ascension once you start thinking about it because, well, if she's able to heal off of other people healing, you can leave her elemental skill in damage dealing form more and have something like Kuki Shinobu's elemental skill on your active character who's going to have their HP both being drained, but also being restored by Kuki, which procs an additional heal from Furina that's going to heal everyone in your party instead of just your active character. There's a lot of cool things that I think we're going to be able to do with this skill if these dreams do come true, but there's a second Ascension passive that I also want to touch on. And while that second Ascension is going to be pretty easy, it's going to go very well with her build. Basically, for every 1000 HP you build on Furina, it's going to increase the damage of all the different troop members that you summon with her elemental skill up to 28%. If you're in healing form though, your second Ascension passive talent is going to decrease the heal interval of your heal. So instead of getting healed for more every time you heal in heal form with Furina, it's going to make them heal faster, which is super great because if you really need that healing, you can swap into heal form, heal rapidly, maybe have someone else in your party that is healing like Kuki Shinobu. That's just who comes to mind. Rain swords from Xingqiu. And that's going to proc the first Ascension passive as well, allowing you to rapidly restore your HP of all of your party members to maximum. So then you can use another charge attack on Furina to go quickly back into damage dealing form. Just like with all the other Fontaine characters, or I guess a lot of them we've seen so far, this is how Furina is sort of filling in that philosophical design space of characters who want to drain HP and then restore HP. We're going to be seeing it with Nivelette as well as Risley soon here in 4.1, and Furina's going to follow that up quite nicely in 4.2. But there's one big thing I want to talk about here, and it's not all of her constellations, but it is her Constellation 2. And the Constellation 2 is really long. It was very hard to memorize. I had to dream it again to check it out and make sure I was doing it right. But here's the gist of the C2. Furina up until this point does everything off field. Her normal and charge attacks are not water element, they're not hydro, they're physical damage. But when you're Constellation 2, you're going to be able to have Hydro Imbue on your Furina from Constellation 2. And not only do you get Hydro Imbue on Furina in Constellation 2, it's also going to allow you to gain a HP scaling to your normal as well as your charge attacks from this Constellation 2. But that's not it. On top of that, it's also going to make her either heal or do more damage with your normal and charge attacks, depending on which of her 2 alignment forms you're in, Oiso or Numa. And so this Constellation 2 is a wall of text that you can sort of break down to Hydro Imbue, extra damage, HP scaling, bonus healing, and more bonus damage. So if you're a real big Furina fan, she's gonna be great at C0, but if you want to have her out and about and be a driver for a ton of teams, Constellation 2 is almost a necessity for that extra hydro application. So you don't just have someone out there doing physical damage in all of these different hydro related reaction teams. Because physical damage doesn't add a whole lot, you're gonna have someone who's more worthwhile to be out on field. If you want to have that driver position, C2 is where it's gonna be. And outside of that, yeah, you can get more value from further constellations, but C2 is the big one, and it does change sort of how you'll be able to use the character, which is something I don't really like to see design-wise from Genshin characters. Constellation should not change how someone can use someone in an entirely different way than when they were at C0. However, this is not going to be the case, I fear, with the Dream Furina. So do you think it's too good to be true? Let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, phone.